Today is November the 14th, and I want to start out by what I'm going to call kind of cleaning up a few things. And I've done this with every class. I just kind of doing this up here for you guys so you can see it. But I really need your attention today. I've asked you to all kind of clean your desk off, get all the junk on the floor. I really need your attention. I can make this lesson super easy if you listen. Otherwise, when you go home, it looks like a foreign language kind of. It's a bunch of letters, okay? Now, starting out, I just want to say this. Today's lesson is an expression. And we've already said expressions don't have equal signs. Okay, the only way you can solve an expression is if, like last night's homework, if they tell you B equals something, 5, okay? Otherwise, you have an equation. So I just want to kind of clean this out of your brain for a second. All day, the kids are stuck on, but Miss Donahue, we're doing this problem. Let's say we're doing this. So you got x plus 4 equals 7. You already know it's 3. You just did algebra. You're telling me x is 3. Okay. Here's the thing. What you don't realize that you're doing, and we'll teach this eventually, is kind of like inverse math, the opposite math. So instead of a plus 4, the opposite would be minus 4, right? And I will teach you this in a couple weeks. But listen, for right now, what I'm getting at is, like you solved it. Here's the thing. Because these things don't have equal signs, we can't solve them for a letter. So today we're not figuring out, like, n is 5. We're not doing that. We are just making the math problem. Okay? That math problem is not going to have an equal sign. Okay, so that's the first thing. Okay, the second thing I want to clean up. Okay, when writing something like 5a, that means, we've talked about it, 5 times a. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is the best, most grown-up, cleaned-up version of 5 times a we can have. It is the prettiest. It is what your high school teachers are going to want you to write. So let me show you some they don't want you to write. Okay. They really don't want that because with the time sign. Because, okay. Honestly, they really want you to try to get rid of the dot. Because after this year, you don't see the dot anymore. So I'm going to draw that one out. Okay. Another version is 5 parenthesis a. Now, nothing is exactly wrong with that, but I just want to point out something. This and this, which one's cleaner? 5A. Just the 5A, right? They kind of, what mathematicians say is, this is just kind of messy. Almost like a run-on sentence, like you got too much junk there. So what they do is they say, don't write it that way. They say, do this, okay? The other way, the other thing you guys, your eyeballs have got to get used to is not writing that. In the math world, they just put the number first before the letter. 5A, okay? I will work with y'all with this kind of stuff for the, for this year. But as you go on, teachers kind of count those things wrong, okay? So, that's one thing. Here's the other thing. I have been saying, and this is just kind of silly stuff, but it kind of cleans up the last few days. I have been saying that, like if you have 5a, it means multiply because there's nothing right there. So I want you to look. This is what I'm talking about. That would mean 5 plus a. That would mean 5 minus a. To be honest, yes, this would be the same thing. Okay? Just kind of throwing it up there anyway. You could do 5 divided by a. But this is our grown-up multiplication. Okay? The other thing I've kind of shown them, and I know it's up here on the board behind me, but there is a huge difference between this and that. I want you to look at those. It's only one silly thing, which is a plus sign. But on both of them, they want us to add these first, right? But on this one, they want us to do plus 5. Okay, but this one, they want us to do multiplication of 5. So you like all these little symbols, this new language, it's weird. And you got to be picky and look at every little thing. Okay? I have had the odd question today of can you have two letters next to each other and multiply? Yes, guys, I hate to say it was in your homework last night, but okay. So it means Z times Y. So let's say Z is 2 and Y is 3. It's not 23. It means 2 times 3. Okay, which is 6. So just kind of take it slow. Take it slow. Yes?
Honestly, that's what I thought. I thought the Z and the Y could possibly make 23. Like, that's like, if the numbers are switched together, does that mean
it looks like it.
I was like...
Yep, it looks like it, but it means... Yes, it means multiplying. Guys, you can have 3 letters next to each other. You can have like X, Y, Z, and it means X times Y times Z. Can't do anything with it unless they tell us our letters and what they mean, but yes.
How many letters can you have besides 2? I mean, how many letters can you have?
I mean, you can have 2, 3, or 4, or 5.
I mean, next to each other.
Oh, I mean, I don't. Usually 2 to 3 is the most. Yeah. And then I talked about, I think with this group, this is a big one for today, because we're going to be talking about variables. All algebra is lowercase. What you think about that? All algebra is lowercase. Back when you were doing geometry, and you were doing points and arrows and all that good stuff. Haha. They're not arrows, but they're rays and all that good stuff. These were capital letters. Geometry's capital letters. We're doing algebra, which means we're going to use lowercase letters. Okay, here's another hint. I might as well say it now because you'll need it later. Okay. I already talked about they don't use O or 0 because it looks like O or whatever. There's 2 weird ones that you will see. One is T, and they put this little curve on the bottom. Because if you don't do that, it looks like a plus sign. Okay? Another one is if you got to make an F. An F is kind of like that. Once again, because if people don't make this little loop big enough, it'll start to look like a plus sign. So they kind of put this curl on some of them. Okay? Okay, that was kind of catching up. Crash course, a little bit about algebra. What we're going to do today, I'm going to show you all the tricks I can that will make this so successful. If you pay attention and listen, and you'll get it, okay? But to be honest, I've said it to every class. I don't care that I'm doing video. If you zone out in the middle of this, or whatever, it is a bad day to miss school. It is hard. That's why I started videoing 5 minutes ago, okay? I really need you with me. This is one of those things that if you come in tomorrow, like, it's hard for me to kind of catch you up on it because there's a lot in it. Okay? It's not hard to do if you listen to me, but, you know. Yes?
Does every, can any letter, mean different numbers?
Yes. Every letter can always mean different numbers.
So why do they have, why do they have every letter in the alphabet? It means, every number.
Well, because there's not enough letters in the alphabet. Like, C could mean 5 or 500. So, yeah, it just, whoever makes a math problem can make it for different things. Today, kind of talking about that, one of our big goals today is to what's going to be called to define a variable. And what that means is we're going to figure out what letter do we want to use and why is it what it is. Okay? So if I choose C, is it because that C stands for cat, or is it because that C stands for cup? And we're going to what's called define a variable. That is the weird part. I might say C for cat, and you might say X for cat. But as long as we both are talking about a cat and we define it correctly, we're good. Okay? So, starting now. Like I said, if you just stick with me, it's not hard. Okay, we're on this note side. And, okay, the first trick that I really wish you would write is a goofy little trick that Miss Sawyer taught me. It is that whenever you see this word, than, T-H-A-N. T-H-A-N. I know it's silly that I'm even writing this. But all it means is, when you see it in these sentences, it's going to mean to flip the math around. And it's kind of like a trick of the algebra world. Okay? That's all it means, is to flip it around. And I'll explain more in just a second. Okay? It's a good hint for a lot of these. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Okay. So, the directions say, and this is where I need you to kind of learn this. It's going to ask us to define a variable. So we're going to have to name a letter and what it stands for. And then write each phrase as an algebraic expression, otherwise known as a math problem. Okay, we're going to create a math problem. Okay, so number 1, it says 9 less than a number. Okay, start out. Do you see the word then?
Yes.
Yes. So what I do is this. I highlight it, but Miss Sawyer has her kids do this goofy little arrow thing, because later we're going to need to flip this thing around. That way we don't forget it later to flip it. Yes?
We did something like this last year.
Oh, good. Good, good, good. Okay, so the next thing is to define a variable. It is like this unknown object. We don't know what it is. So if you look at the words here, we know what the number 9 is. I bet you know less than means, what has it meant for many years? Less than. Subtract, right? Like less than? Okay. A number. So what do we not know? The number, right. So what we're going to do first is to define a variable, and for the, we're just writing this the first time. When they say to define a variable, all they mean is we're going to make it, I'm going to make it the letter N. And all it is I'm going to say that N kind of stands for, and I use an arrow because I don't want to use an equal sign. Okay. N stands for a number. Because that's all the information they gave me. If they give me more information, then I would add it. But that's all I got. It stands for a number. Okay, yes?
I can see why you choose N, because N is a number.
Right, right. And I always choose letters that kind of represent the word. C for cat, C for cup. There'll be some weird ones in a minute, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Listen, listen, this is not the day to go ahead. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry, please. Okay, so I got N is for number. Now, here's the thing I do next. I'm kind of silly. I go in there and pick this thing apart. Meaning, I go in here and I say, you know what? I know what a 9 is. I know what less than usually means take away, so I put a little minus sign. And we know that N stands for number. Well, you just made a math problem. 9 minus N. Oh, look at that. But here's the deal. It has the word then. So we got to flip it around.
N minus 9.
N minus 9. You did it. There's your expression. You just made your math problem, and we can't solve it because we don't know n. Yes, it's easier, but it can be scary if you don't listen to my teaching. Okay, yes, I said it. That is it. So here's one answer. You told me what your variable was, and the other answer is that. Okay, if you tell me 9 minus n, I got to count it wrong because you didn't flip it. Okay? Yes?
Can we go ahead?
Gotta be. No. Here we go. Don't go ahead of me. Just stick with me for this one day. Breathe. Here we go. Yes?
What if it's addition, then do you have to flip it around?
Okay, we only flip it when there's the word then.
Okay.
Okay, so let's read number 2.
It says then in an addition problem.
Right. Yeah, you would flip it. Number 2. 5 times the number of books in the library. Okay, is there a then? No. So, okay, our variable is, what is it we don't know? Number of books in the library. Now, you can do N for number of books in the library. You can do B for books in the library. Make sure you at least give me books in the library. It's almost like little phrases. I keep trying to say that it's prepositional phrases, but I don't think it is. But they're usually phrases, because these books are not in my classroom. They're not at Barnes and Noble. They're in the library, and you want to be very specific if they give you the specifics. Yes.
Since there's no then, that means times.
Okay, give me a second. Give me a second, guys. Listen. No, this is the first part, defining the variable. So that's the definition of that variable. Okay. Now, 5 times multiplication. Yes, so you're seeing multiply. 5 with the little times. It doesn't matter how you write it up here. The number of books in the library. 5 times B. And what is our cleanest way of writing that?
5B.
5B. You got it. You got it. 5B. Okay. It's kind of like that previous knowledge of word problems when you see the word like total means addition. Okay. That's where we go. We got to kind of remember some of that too. Okay. So let's look at number 3. 3 more pancakes than his brother ate. Is the word then in there?
Yes.
Yes. So highlight then. And if you want to draw little arrows, feel free.
Can I underline it?
You can underline it, whatever works for you. To me, the sentence is kind of like the math problem that you're manipulating. You're working with it, you're drawing stuff. Okay. What is our variable here? Pancakes. His brother ate. Give me a whole little phrase. So I'm going to do P for pancakes. His brother ate. Not his sister ate, his brother ate. Okay, now I'm going to kind of pick it apart. Yes, it says 3 more. Okay, 3 more than is 3 what? Addition, yeah, 3 more. So 3 plus the pancakes his brother ate. So 3 plus P, but we got to flip it to make it, you got it, P plus 3. P plus 3. Close enough, yes. Okay. Here we go. Number 4. 2 more than 7 times Lynn's age. Then, yes. Guys, if you're not writing this down, I hate to be mean to parents, but half your parents are going to be lost if you try to just go home and learn it from them. This is some rough stuff. Okay. So, some of us are seeing stuff. Okay, what is it we don't know, though?
The number of age.
The age, right? We don't know Lynn's age. We know something's 7, we know it's 7 times the age, but we don't know the age. Now, here's the tricker. You can't really put an L because you would need a lowercase L, and it looks like a 1.
A.
So I'm going to do A for age, but when I define it or give it a definition, I just word it as Lynn's age. Okay. You could do X as long as you tell me it equals Lynn's age. Okay. Mm-hmm.
What I did because what I do is I put it to the side because I can't fit it between the sentence and
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. But you're getting the same thing, right? Okay. So now, I go back in there. You're seeing it. There's more than one thing this time. I see a 2. I see the word more than, meaning add. I see 7. Times. Times A. Times her age, right. Listen, 7A. Okay, now go back. Listen, this is my cheat. This is like my scratch paper. What do I need to do? Flip it. So it needs to be 7A plus 2. Now, I will say one thing. Just breathe for a second. Listen. I want you to think about these last 2. Okay. If you have nothing, can you really add 3 to it? No. It's kind of weird if you think about it. So the reason that we flip these things, if you think about it, it's kind of like on this one. We got to start with an age, and we got to figure out that age. She may be 10. So 7 times 10 is 70 before we can ever add 2 to it. We got to figure out that age before we can add anything. That's why a lot of this is flipped. Subtraction is that way. Because you got to start with something before you can ever take something away from it. If you don't have anything, you can't take anything away. So there is a reason these are flipped. I mean, that's what the word is there for, I guess. Okay. Here we go. Number 5. 9 minutes less than Francis's time. Okay, so you can do T or F. Doesn't matter. Yes?
So, how do you know when you could put the, how do you know when you could put the addition sign without it looking
I guess you just say it's smaller. This one I felt was too big, and I almost erased it. Just make it smaller, like a symbol. Yeah. Okay. If it's a T, I'm going to be honest, now that I thought about it, this is what my T should look like. Okay. Now, I did a T for Francis's time. You could have done an F for Francis's time. It does not matter. Okay. There is the word then. I almost missed it. Okay. So y'all see 9 minus. Less than would be the minus part. T. And then flip it. You got it. Okay. Now, the next one. Listen, just kind of breathe for a second. Okay. I want to show you that word problems have fluff sometimes. Okay. Meaning that sometimes they have more words than you need. Okay. So, it does say the distance around a basketball or circumference, okay, is about 3 times the circumference of a softball. So it would take 3 softballs to make a basketball, okay? Okay, slow down. Then it tells us to define a variable, which is what we've been doing, and write an expression to represent the circumference of the basketball. Guys, all this is the directions of what we've been doing this whole time. But I need you to understand, if you were on a weird test like the ACAP, You might have 6 minus 9 and then have this question. That's why the directions are there. They're trying to get your mind to realize these are just directions. What to do. Don't let that part scare you. Like an extra line of words. Okay? Okay, so the next thing is the word then in there?
No.
No. Okay, what is going to be our variable though? Softball. And we need to either do, you need to kind of add the word circumference of a softball. Okay? Circumference. That means the outside circle. Yes, yes. So I'm going to do C for circumference of softball. And you've got to have a softball. Because otherwise we might think you mean football. Okay? Now I go back and I kind of read it. The distance around a basketball or circumference is about 3 times the circumference of a softball. So what?
3 times. No, you have to put
3C.
3C.
Didn't say it.
I can't.
Parentheses?
Yeah.
Okay, you can. You can do this. Okay? But I'm going to say the biggest grown-up answer would just be that. 3C. Yeah, nothing else. Because you can put the parentheses, it's kind of messy. So, 3C. It's kind of weird. Like, that is the longest question on the page with the shortest answer. And the easiest one, to be honest.
So, why do they want you to put parentheses when you get older, you're not even going to use them?
Well, we will use them, but it'll be in longer problems like this. That's kind of the weird part. Yeah. Yes. Okay, that's a good question. Listen. It's kind of like this. 3 softballs. So I'm going to kind of draw it. 3 little softballs is what makes a big basketball. Okay? So your math problem is the softballs. If we knew what C was, it would equal the basketball. And I hate that this question has 2 different kinds of like softball and basketball because it's confusing. Okay? But it's kind of like this is the math problem, figuring out how much these are. Maybe they're 8 inches around on each one. Okay? 8 times 3 would be 24. 24 would be the basketball. Okay? So your basketball is kind of like your final answer. Yes?
I didn't use C for circumference of softball. I used S.
That's fine. That's fine.
I used 3S.
That's right. 3S. Yes?
You use X instead of dot.
Where?
3.
Oh, up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just showing y'all's times. This is just kind of like scratch paper. You can use a dot. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, now this one. This is a real world question that all of us parents use all the time. And I really wish you'd listen because it makes sense. Okay. A plumber charges $50 to visit a house plus $40 for every hour of work. Okay, define a variable, write an expression to represent the total cost of the plumber. So let me explain. Guys, this is any job where the person comes and works at your house. Electricity, air conditioning, heating, mechanics, plumbers. Okay, what they do is they charge a flat rate to come to your house, just to drive there. Okay, $50 to interrupt their day. To be honest, nowadays it's about $100. Okay, Once they get to your house, they're going to charge you a rate per hour. So this guy's charging $40 per hour. Okay, to be honest, nowadays it's $60 or $80 an hour. Okay, now, here's the reason behind some of this. And this is goofy, but I like my real world stuff that actually applies to y'all's future lives. Okay, what if that plumber drives all the way to your house and walks in that bathroom and flushes the toilet and everything works?
That's just a waste of money.
Okay, it was a waste of money, but that guy still wants his money because he drove to your house, he spent gasoline money, he could be on another job making money, okay? So you have to pay him the $50 to drive out there. That's just kind of like a flat $50, you know you're going to pay it, okay? Then, the next part with the $40 an hour is kind of weird, okay? If that guy just flushes the toilet and it works, he might be nice and just be like, whatever, just give me the 50 and I'm out of here. But he could be not so nice and still charge you the 40, making your bill 90 now, okay? Because you started that first hour. It might have only been 5 minutes, but you started it. Kind of matters how nice that person is, okay? If this guy gets in there and he realizes, you know what, this job's going to take me 2 days. He's going to have to dig up pipes in the front yard and dig under your house and all this. Okay, then what they do, because they talk to you about it, and they come to you and they say, hey, Miss Donahue, this might be a 2-day job. We're talking 16 hours of labor. So 16 times 40 plus the 50. So they're warning you ahead of time what it's going to be, okay? Miss Yoder in my last class was saying she had an air conditioning guy at her house last night for heat, and he said, here's the estimate. It's going to be between this and this, because the guy didn't know if when he gets in there and takes this air conditioner apart, he doesn't know if it's going to take him an hour to fix it or 3. So he kind of gave her like this roundabout figure, okay? As grown adults, if you own a house or something, we do this before these people come to our house. And when they get there, someone said, what if they sleep in your driveway the whole time? I said, well, I'm going to be honest. That's why a lot of us adults leave school. Because we're getting something fixed at our house and we got to run home and watch them fix it. Okay? You hope to hire someone who's trustworthy and does the right thing. But could they charge you for sleeping in their car? Yes. If you're not there to watch them. So, with all that being said, I know that was weird and silly, but I really like it when my math can kind of kick into the real world. And this is plumbers. This is mechanics. Some mechanics charge just to open the hood of your car. They're like, whoop, okay, I opened it. Now it's $50. So, okay. Yes?
Just me thinking that they have to sleep, or they would sleep out in their car, makes me feel like when you go to sleep, they're going to fall.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they could. If they're there by themselves, they could do something bad, right? Yeah. A lot of times y'all don't realize it, but that's why as teachers are leaving school is weird stuff like this. Okay. So, starting out, we look, we see if the word then is in there. No. Okay. Now, what is our unknown? Hours of work. Because we don't know if they're going to work 3 hours or 10 hours. Whoops. Okay. Now. Okay. Now, think about this. We know that it's 50 plus, but 40 what? For every hour. So 40 times every hour. Okay, Trey? Do what?
She just said the scratch.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. I messed it up. I've done it in every class, like one time. I just haven't been using equals because of equations, so. But I wouldn't count that wrong if you did. So it's $50 plus 40H. And don't flip it. The $40 times your hours. So let's say you work 2 hours. It'd be $80. plus the 50 would be 180 plus 50. 130, yes. Listen, and these people get paid good money, real good money. Now, we're going to turn to the back. Listen, don't do number 8, just flip to the back. Okay, we're going to start with number 1. This is your homework. I'm going to try to do some with you here in class. You might want to finish watching this video later. Okay, here we go. So it says, to define a variable, write each phrase as an algebraic expression. Same thing we've been doing. Okay, so starting out. One more ball than is on the playground. Blah, blah, blah. Than, I know, there's than. Okay. What is it that we don't know? What's our variable?
The ball.
Ball on the playground. Yes, balls on the playground. Okay, and listen, you've got to give me that because that's part of your answer. That's kind of like answer 1. Okay. Okay. Creating answer 2, it says 1 more than, so it's plus, the ball's on the playground, but it says flip it. B plus 1. Yes. You got it. You got it. It's not hard. Once you kind of learn the tricks, it's easier. It just takes a minute. Okay, looking at number 2. 3 more cookies than are in the jar. Cookies in the jar, okay. Y'all are seeing then. Somebody watch Sesame Street. Okay. Yeah, cookies in the jar. Okay, so if there's only one number, then there's only one number. It's okay. So 3 more than, more than the cookies are in the jar. But we got to flip it.
So 3 plus 3.
You got it. C plus 3.
3 is 2. Oh, we're not on 2.
That's my initial.
Okay. You have a plus sign in your name?
The plus, but the C.
Okay, I'm just kidding. I know. I'm being silly. It's okay. I love it. Okay. Number 3. Oh, okay. I get where you're at now. Okay. 12 fewer questions than were on the first test. Okay. And it is Q, but they stand for what? Questions
On the first test.
on the test or on the first test. Yes. Yes, we have to be that specific. Oops.
Wouldn't I know that's pretty loud, but wouldn't the year be subtracted?
This one? Okay, wait a minute. Oh no, I haven't made it that far. Okay. Let me draw some arrows. Okay. So, 12 fewer. Yes, it is subtraction. So 12 subtract questions. Yes. So, I flip it so it's Q for questions minus 12. And if you think about it, you've got to start with something before you can ever take away 12. If you think about it. Yes.
D and S. Could you use first as like 1?
Oh, one test? That's interesting. 1 Q? You could. It just would simplify to Q. You can do T for test. Yeah. Yes.
I was going to ask if we could put X instead of Q.
You can. You can. You can put X. It's just that when you define it, your definition should still be about what mine is. Okay.
D.
Okay. Number 4, $8 more than the shirt costs. Here's my word then.
Couldn't you do D or S?
Well, I got a question. Do you know what $1 is?
Yes.
Okay. So we know this part. What do we not know?
The shirt.
The shirt's cost. Okay. So we could either do S for shirt's cost, or you could do C for shirt's cost. Doesn't really matter.
For a second, I thought that was a W, because if you look at it, it looks like a W.
What?
It's addition. Oh, it does.
What looks like a W?
The cost. Oh, it does.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Now it looks like an OO. Okay. Y'all are silly today. I love it. Cost. C-O-S-T. Now that they've given me a complex. Okay. $8 more than the shirt cost. Addition. $8 more than would be plus C. Flip it.
C8. K.
Plus 8. Yes. C plus 8.
Okay. Okay, for number 5, couldn't we do 3A, because A means...
Okay, 3 times as many drinks on the tray. Okay, what do we not know though? Drinks on the tray. Okay, there's no then. I keep looking for something else, but there's not. Okay. So 3 times the drinks, so it's 3 times D, 3D.
3D.
Yeah.
3D.
Okay.
What is Yumma?
Yummy's just a name.
Yummy.
Okay. Here we go. $5 less than Yumi's pay. Yeah, I guess Yumi. Okay. It's got the word then. Okay.
Why?
Guys, get with me for a second.
Can I see Aubrey Walker in the 6th grade office for a second, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, $5 less than Yumi's pay. What do we not know? Yumi's pay. So you could either do a P or a lowercase y. Doesn't really matter.
Okay, so if you do the Y, it'll be 5 minus Y, right? Or Y minus 5.
Okay, slow. Like y'all are going faster than my brain. Okay, $5 less than it would be 5 minus the P, but then we flip it, and yes, it would be P minus 5.
PlayStation 5.
Okay.
Wait, what about Y?
Y is fine, as long as you're using lowercase letters. Okay, number 7. The English class has half as many students as the math class.
Divide.
Ah, I'm seeing all of it. What do we, is the word then in there?
Students.
No. What do we not know?
Students.
Students in which class though? Math. Students in math class.
Wait, what? Math class. English. Oh, what?
Okay, look down here. The English class is like what it equals. They have half as many students as the math class. students.
Exactly.
Okay, so
1/2.
we got students. Okay, so 1/2 is a fraction. But what is another way of thinking? You could do a fraction. 1/2 of, I want you to think about how we've worded this before. 1/2 of the class.
What's the half?
We don't know. Half of S would be 1/2 times S. But think about it this way. Some of you said it was division, and that's right. Think about it. It would be S taking the class and dividing by 2. Because half of it is dividing by 2. Guys, S for students. Okay? Listen, guys. Okay. Okay, so next one. I would do E for Emily's age. A lot of people will do A for age.
What is that? That's a cursive.
It's a cursive E.
Like an E.
Sorry. It's an E.
That's actually pretty good. And you did the equal sign.
Thank you. I'm trying not to, but my brain just doesn't like to drop them. Okay. E for Emily's age. So 1/3 of Emily's age.
Okay, so actually 1/3.
1/3.
1/3.
1/3. 1/3 divided by
1/3.
Divided
1/3 E.
1/3 divided by E.
Okay, now listen. If you're going to do divided by, are you dividing 1/3?
No.
E divided by 3. Yes. E. Okay, so we've got, like, there's a couple different choices here. You can kind of do either one.
I get like
Uh-huh.
I was kind of confused on those because you said we weren't going to learn fractions and stuff yet, so.
I was surprised. Officially, my goal is for you to say it's E divided by 3. Because you know that if it's in thirds, you're dividing it by 3. Oh, that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Because you could write it like this. You could write it as E divided by 3. And that's right also. I just didn't think about it that way. Okay? So you can do any of those. Good? Okay?
Can you do instant math?
10 times the minutes spent exercising.
Okay, what did you do?
Exercising?
I did E.
I would do M
No.
for minutes spent exercising.
Let's go, boy.
I did E.
What are you using E? Oh, exercising. That's fine.
10 times M.
So, yeah, 10 times would be 10 M.
Can we do the last one?
The last one's interesting. Okay. No, I know it's a challenge. Spencer bought 3 books of stamps and mailed a package. It cost $4.50 to mail the package.
That's a lot.
Okay, so what do we not know?
The package.
Okay, but we know, listen, we know it's $4.50 to mail the package.
The stamps.
We don't know the stamps.
Okay.
Define the variable right expression to represent the total amount he spent at the post office. He bought 3 books of stamps, but we don't know how much the stamps are. So, I would say something like S for stamps or C for cost of stamps. I don't see the word then. I was trying, but I don't see it. So,
I'm
If it's add, it's the plus 450. So it's basically he bought 3 books of stamps. We know that we don't know the cost of them. Plus 450 for a package. You don't have to put the dollar sign. You can. Yeah. It's kind of like the plumber thing. 3 times, however many you buy. What? Only this class.
Yeah,